It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the movies of September 30th, 1994. We got 5 movies to look at today, so let's just jump on into it. We'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is Curtis Hanson's The River Wild, starring Meryl Streep and Kevin Bacon.
People don't do the gauntlet anymore.
Have you ever done it?
Oh, yeah. Listen, I ran the gauntlet once when I was 18 and completely insane. But I was with 2 other guides, experienced guides, and we were just lucky. But there were 2 other people that summer who did not get so lucky. One guy got killed, and the other is paralyzed for life. But don't worry, we're gonna hit some 3s and 4 pluses. You're gonna scream your guts out. You'll love it. We are gonna risk death a number of times on this trip.
So this is one of those movies where you look at it and you kind of see the potential for something pretty cool, something pretty impressive. I mean, an adventure film that takes place on on these raging rivers, and I mean, you got some of the best talent in there. I mean, Meryl Streep, Kevin Bacon, David Strathairn, Joseph Mazzello from Jurassic Park. You got John C. Reilly and Benjamin Bratt in here as well. Glenn Morshower's also in here. So you have a good cast in here and a really good idea. I just don't think the overall execution really worked out well. I mean, there are times when it could be pretty cool, like the river rafting scenes can look pretty impressive, and I mean, the overall enjoyment factor is there in those scenes, but the story overall is very predictable, very formulaic. You can kind of predict everything that's going to happen, and I think that's one of the major flaws of the movie. But nevertheless, there is a lot there to really appreciate about this movie. This is directed by Curtis Hanson, who did The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, and would later go on to direct L.A. Confidential, which is probably his best film easily. But I mean, there's a lot here you can get invested into. I mean, there are some good action sequences in there. The characters overall are very good. Meryl Streep and Kevin Bacon and David Strathairn give these good performances. There is a lot there to really like. The cinematography is nicely well done. Jerry Goldsmith does a good score for this. It's an overall enjoyable movie, but it's one of those ones where you look at it and you think, there could have been so much more to make this really spectacular and make it stand out on its own, but it kind of goes into formulaic territory in terms of the script, but other than that, it works for what it is. I think it could have been a whole lot better, but for a one-time watch, I'm glad I saw it. It's probably not one I'd rush out to see over and over again, but there is stuff in there that I do like about it, so I'd say it's okay to watch The River Wild. So, with that said, let's move on to the next movie, and that is Jason's Lyric.
Your father is a wild man, and your brother is a madman.
Did you learn nothing in prison? That's what I learned.
Trouble comes easy,
He's gonna rob the bank tomorrow with my brother and his crew.
but love
She showing me things I ain't never seen.
comes hard.
I don't want my heart broken. What you gonna do if you keep trying to save a brother that don't want to be saved?
They need.
No, I need you.
Jason's Lyric, rated R.
Again, another one of those movies that has a lot of potential there. A really good cast overall. Alan Payne, Jada Pinkett, Bokeem Woodbine, Eddie Griffin, Lisa Nicole Carson, Forrest Whitaker. Really good cast, a really good story to tell, but I think with this movie the biggest problem is it doesn't really know what kind of a story it wants to be. Like, what does it want to be? Does it want to be this coming-of-age story about these 2 guys who grew up together and have to deal with the trials and tribulations of life? Does it want to be like an erotic thriller? Does it want to be a psychological drama? Does it want to be a romance film? You really can't tell the difference between what they're trying to sell you on. Even the trailers alone don't really have a good idea of how to sell the movie on. But, I don't know. Like, this is one that I saw a long time ago, and I really don't remember anything about it. It has a really good cast overall. I don't remember a whole lot I liked about it, but I mean, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't anything horrible. I just really don't think the direction was there of where they really wanted to go with this, like which path did they want to take with this, and what kind of a story they wanted to tell. And yeah, like I said, it's been a while since I've seen this one. I don't remember it too fondly, but I don't remember it being horrible either. I just thought it was a movie that was like I could see where they're going, but I don't see anything that I remember about it being anything too great or anything. But again, like I said, it's been a while since I've seen this movie, but that's just what I have to say about this one. It's been a long time since I've seen it. Maybe I should check it out again, but as of right now, thought it was okay, but didn't leave a lasting impact with me. So that's Jason's lyrics. So let's move on to the next movie, and that is Brendan Fraser and Albert Brooks starring in The Scout.
You're the very first scout we've ever sent this deep into South Central Mexico.
I'm here to see a baseball game. I'm a scout.
Hey, Bo! Yesterday I saw a game played by 5 men, 2 women, a child, and a goat at third base.
You must be here to see Steve Nebraska.
Who?
That's the greatest ball player that ever lived.
When Al Percola discovered Steve Nebraska, he had to convince himself he wasn't dreaming.
Oh, my God almighty!
Want to be a New York Yankee?
Okay, let's do it. Hey!
Let me go! Look at all the lights and all the people up, and there's a man wearing a dress in New York!
Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Nebraska.
Excuse me, I don't know what those signals mean. Why are you shaking your head no for? Supposed to shake no. Right? Just throw what you want to throw.
For Al, it was a chance to finally be somebody.
We're gonna be rich.
You know, it's not a good idea to say you're going to be
Rich!
Let's go back down there and tell them that we're not going to be rich.
No, it's too late now.
But for Steve,
Come on, Steve, stand up and take a bow.
it was a chance just to be himself.
I left my heart.
Steve, it's his. Shh.
Whoever that may be.
Whose idea was it to put Steve Nebraska up on the roof?
Oh, my God.
Before we pay the money, we're going to need a letter from a psychiatrist.
What?
Saying that he's all right. It's like a physical.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I didn't know how to describe this. I told him it was like a physical.
I want to talk to them. People want to know things.
We're not gonna do a press conference like Romeo and Juliet.
Are you nuts? I didn't mean that.
20th Century Fox presents
Is that your son?
Albert Brooks,
Yes, it is. Test tube, baby.
Brendan Fraser,
Al, you're like your dad to me. But I'm not your dad. I'm just a guy taking 15%.
I thought it was 10.
Diane Wiest,
What does this look like to you?
It's Batman.
Batman?
Sometimes he goes without his cape.
in the story of two friends who need each other.
You can't put the white ones in with the dark ones.
You're an expert on laundry?
Like they need their heads examined.
It's likely that Steve will look to you as a father figure.
I'm trying to fill those shoes. I'll do the best I can.
But you should realize this is a father that Steve might want to put a bullet through.
How does he feel about his uncles?
The Scout.
And what are you doing later on? Maybe we could do some laundry?
You love that laundry, don't you?
Well, we're getting a lot of these movies this week. These movies that have a lot of promise to them, but they just don't stick the landing. And you know it's bad when a movie is spoiling a ton of the stuff in the trailer. I mean, that's a long trailer. That was almost 3 minutes worth of material there. And again, kind of like with the other two movies, you could see the potential there. You've got Albert Brooks, who can be really funny, and Brendan Fraser, who is an up-and-coming star, who's been in a couple movies that we've talked about that have actually been kind of decent. And there is a lot there to like about these two, but at the same time, there's nothing really all that amazing there to make this stand out on its own. It's kind of a generic sports movie, and there's just not really a whole lot there to really connect to. I mean, Albert Brooks and I just said his name, Brendan Fraser. Good Lord. I mean, they're both doing the best that they can with this, but it's a movie that just, I feel like there's just too much going on in here to make it seem like anything incredible. Diane Wiest's performance, she's trying her best in here, but I thought the whole thing about the psychologist was really not that great. I feel like it was something that they just threw in there because, hey, they can get Diane Wiest, and we need to bring in this idea that we need to bring in a psychologist. And honestly, I think the psychologist thing doesn't really play out as well as the movie wants us to think it does. It's a film that's just kind of like, I mean, it's just kind of there. And again, remember, this is around the late 1994. This was when the baseball strike happened. Baseball wasn't really going on. Nobody was really even talking about it. I mean, they should have been talking about the playoffs at this point, but it just didn't work. It just didn't work overall. And hearing the stories behind this movie sounded pretty interesting. This movie was actually written way back in the 80s with Peter Falk supposed to be playing the Albert Brooks performance, and Jim Belushi supposed to be the Brendan Fraser character, and that had to have been something like in the 80s. They went through like 5 different versions of this movie. It was then going to be Walter Matthau in the Albert Brooks role, and then Rodney Dangerfield was originally intended for this movie, and Rodney Dangerfield could have made this work, but like I said, Albert Brooks I think is a terrific actor. I think terrific comedian, and I think he really is very good at most of his movies. And here, I just feel like he's kind of phoning it in. He's not really connecting well with Fraser, and it just doesn't help that the script is not really all that strong either. It's a generic baseball film. There's nothing really all that interesting or exciting about it. They're trying their best here, and like I said, a lot of the good jokes are spoiled right here in the trailer. I mean, it's not selling the movie well if you have 3 minutes worth of a trailer here and you're spoiling a good majority of the film. It's just kind of like, it just didn't work. It's a film that really was lackluster overall, a really forgettable film. It just wasn't that good, but to its credit, it's at least the better Michael Ritchie film that came out in 1994. It was certainly a lot better than Cops and Robertsons was, but then again, it wasn't even that great either. And they got Andrew Bergman, too, who wrote Blazing Saddles and Honeymoon in Vegas and The Freshman. I mean, you would think that with a guy like him on there, you would have something great, but it just didn't work. It's a film that's had so much potential to it, but it just didn't work. So that's The Scout, and let's move on to a good movie. And not even a good movie, a great movie. This is Johnny Depp starring in Tim Burton's Ed Wood.
Tim Burton, director of Batman, Beetlejuice, and Edward Scissorhands, now takes you to a completely different world. The true story of a Hollywood legend, Ed Wood.
And action!
He made movies like no one else.
Want to keep moving? You've got to get through that door.
Ah, that was perfect.
Perfect. Do you know anything about film production?
Well, I like to think so.
He had an eye for talent.
I met Bela Lugosi.
Well, I thought he was dead.
This is the most uncomfortable coffin I've ever been in.
No, it's very much alive. You flying saucer?
He had a passion for storytelling.
Get me transvestites. I need transvestites.
You're flashy. They want that. Okay. But they want professionalism. So nix on the Nelly without losing naivete.
What kind of a movie is this?
It's science fiction. A heartbreaking romance. Brave robbers from outer space.
Brave robbers from what?
And he had a secret he couldn't hide.
I like to dress in women's clothing. Panties, sweaters, pumps. It's just something I do.
You don't like sex with girls?
No, I love sex with girls. Wearing their clothes makes me feel closer to them.
How can you act so casual when you're dressed like that?
All right, everybody, let's finish this picture.
Touchstone Pictures presents Johnny Depp, Martin Landau, Sarah Jessica Parker, Patricia Arquette, and Bill Murray in the true story
Give me a hand. Keep rolling.
of an unforgettable filmmaker.
We're making another movie. I got the Church of Beverly Hills to put up the gang.
How do you get all your friends to get baptized just so you can make a monster movie?
And his legacy that will live forever.
How do you bury this heart?
Shake his legs around. Looks like he's killing me. This is the one.
I command you!
This is the one I'll be remembered for.
Ed Wood, a Tim Burton film.
Really? Worst film you ever saw? Well, my next one will be better. Hello?
I think most people can make the argument that this is both Tim Burton and Johnny Depp's best movie, and I couldn't agree with them more. I mean, this is an amazing, amazing movie. It's not only a great character study of this filmmaker, this real-life filmmaker in Ed Wood, and how much he loved making these movies, no matter how bad they were. It's just freaking funny, man. Johnny Depp gives one of the best performances of his career in this. It's got a strong cast. I mean, Martin Landau giving an Oscar-winning performance as Bela Lugosi. You got Sarah Jessica Parker, Patricia Arquette, Jeffrey Jones, Lisa Marie, Bill Murray. was about to say Bill Pullman. Bill Murray's in here, as you can see in the trailer. It's just such a great film, and the writers of the Scott Alexander and Larry Karasetsky are the same men that wrote the Problem Child movies, and they ended up working with Tim Burton on this, and would eventually work on a couple of movies with them together, and I think most of them ended up being pretty successful for the most part. I'd have to double check, but I mean, really, there's not much more I could bring to this movie that hasn't already been said. It is such a hilarious movie. It's a well-made film. You really delve into this character of Ed Wood and how much he really loved making these movies, no matter how bad they were, no matter how bad they turned out to be. He was just so committed to making a film no matter what. Like, that's a great mentality to have, and they make this character so likable that you want him to succeed even though he's making these god-awful movies. But it just works. It just works so well, and Depp really fills this role in so well. This movie's just a ton of fun, man. Like, I really wish I could add more to this, but honestly, I'd be repeating a lot of the same stuff that everybody has said. Ed Wood, such a fantastic film. Easily maybe Tim Burton's best film overall. Maybe the best film Johnny Depp has ever made. And, yeah, I got nothing else for you. Ed Wood's pretty amazing. If you haven't seen it, you really are doing yourself a huge disservice by not doing so. So, definitely check that one out. But, with that said, let's move on to the last movie that we have here, and that is William Hurt starring in Second Best.
My name is Graham John Holt. I am a single man, aged 42, attempting to adopt a 10-year-old boy.
You do realize that as a single man, you'll only be offered the older, most difficult to place, emotionally disturbed boy.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you estimate is your degree of security with your masculine role?
A lonely man with a caring heart. An abandoned boy with a troubled past. William Hurt stars in the story of a man who hopes to enrich his own life by reaching out to a child.
I've chosen you. But in order for it to be an equal partnership, I'd have to be the person you would choose.
Who can't escape the memories of his absent father.
You know, they call this the honeymoon period.
You're being used by a manipulative little boy who wants to get another glimpse of his dad.
Honeymoon's over! Didn't they warn you of being a substitute parent was like?
And suppose I need help.
Now, Warner Brothers presents a Regency film about two people who found it in their hearts to trust each other and become friends.
It won't be second best, Jamie. If it's going to work, it has to be as father and son. Take it or leave it. It's up to you.
Second Best.
I've never seen this movie, but I will say I don't think William Hurt is pretty good with a Scottish accent. I mean, I don't if that even was supposed to be a Scottish accent, it could have been a British accent too, but I think it was a British accent. What am I saying? But that accent was not very good. But I mean, looking at the trailer for this, it doesn't look awful, and the reviews for it aren't terrible either. It's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, so maybe there is something there that I'm missing, but I don't know. That trailer didn't really sell me a whole lot, and maybe that's why this movie didn't have a long-lasting legacy to it. I think the trailer looked kind of generic, honestly, but William Hurt usually will turn in a good performance regardless of how bad the movie is, so I don't know. Maybe there might be something there, but like I said, I haven't seen it. I can't really comment on it too much, so that's all I got for you on that one. So that's Second Best. And so, on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we'll jump into October with two movies, Sylvester Stallone and Sharon Stone starring in The Specialist, and also Marissa Tomei and Robert Downey Jr. starring in Only You. And we'll look at those two movies on the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I will see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you for watching, I'll see you next time, and until then, as always, take care.